Hello everyone, this is Ty with Spicy Exotics, and in front of me is a purple haze mature plant. And the reason why I'm filming this is I was away for a couple weeks, and while I was away several flowers set bud and bloomed. Typically I have to hand pollinate this particular variety to ensure success, and to my surprise, when I returned, nearly every flower bud, as far as I can see, every flower bud appears that it will be setting fruit. This once again is a purple haze. Right next to this plant is a voodoo child, and it also bloomed while I was gone, and it typically sets 100%. Now, another interesting fact here is a physical graffiti. And earlier this year, I've recorded close to 75 flower blooms on this plant alone. And early in May, I had about 25 flowers, and all failed. I didn't have pollen, or the pollen that was part of this plant did not take very well. Later I had another set of buds and blooms that have now set fruit, and I had some good pollen to help pollinate those fruit at that time, and that's the fruit you see here. But what was interesting is, typically if this plant, anytime that I've owned it over the last 7 years, if it I've never successfully self-pollinated it and while I was gone, I don't know if some moths during the nighttime self-pollinated from another variety over, but it appears as though these flowers here will set fruit, and we want to take a closer look here. There's a few more on this side. So I was quite surprised to see. The other thing for this video, I wanted to demonstrate a tipping technique that I use. I tip at about 50 inches, a stem, 50 to 55 inches. I tip the ends, and that stresses the plant out and typically promotes additional budding. And as you can see, this is proof here. I have 4 fruit on one stem, and here's that budding technique. I have a fruit on the end right where I tipped it. If we can move these straps, I have 2 fruit there on the bottom of one stem. And we're gonna walk over here, skip a few of these other plants. Here's a Macasupa, and one interesting reason why I want to show you with this particular plant is it's stressed out this year with a little bit of winter freeze, and it's interesting that this mature stem is one of the few stems that budded first. And over on this side, I have another stem that has promoted a bud here, but also this particular stem here, and it also experienced some frost damage. On the end, I have a 5-year-old Halley's Comet, and it appeared to also self-pollinate itself. And earlier this year, or earlier, this month, or a few months ago, I did have one flower that I hand pollinated. But once again, when I return, all of these flowers seem to be setting. And next to it is a dark star. Now, interesting thing about dark star, I have 0 new old fruit on it. I've had about a dozen flowers, and I've had good and self-pollen, pollen from other varieties, and nothing set with this particular plant this year. However, I leave and I return, and it appears as though every last flower bud has pollinated itself, and it looks like it will be setting fruit. Last thing I want to show is that same tipping technique here. You can see this is a natural mystic, and right where I tipped it, I have 2 fruit. Typically I'd have 1. And over here, I clipped the other fruit off, but this particular stem has 3 fruit on it, 3 nice sized fruit also. And here's a few fruit that I clipped off, and as I mentioned, I was gone for a couple weeks, so these fruit over-ripened, and this is typically what happens when your fruit over-ripens. It burst. So a few of these fruit here have started to rupture itself. And this species again is a natural mystic. And also here I have a delight, which has some fruit, several fruit on it that we're going to harvest here. And also right where the tipping took place, we got some flower buds, and it also self-pollinated itself in my absence. So that was pretty interesting to see. I was not expecting whatsoever to return after being gone for a 2-week time frame, to see so many flowers actually set fruit. So I'm pretty excited and wanted to share that with everyone. This is this last plant I'm going to show you is Thai dragon. It I hand pollinated this particular fruit. However, no hand pollination is needed for it, but it bloomed around the same time frame of all these others, and it looks like we'll have some delicious tasting dragon fruit in less than 30 days. So I'll give you an update when these fruit turn pink. Stay tuned.